quotes is, "Evil is always possible, goodness is a difficulty." To write something, you have to risk making a fool of yourself. So, she's just, I just can't, I can't say enough for her. With the Vampire Chronicles, you have Interview with the Vampire, The Vampire Lestat, Queen of the Damned, Tale of the Body Thief, Memnoch the Devil, Armand, the Vampire Armand, Merrick, Blood and Gold, Blackwood Farm, excellent, excellent, Blood Canonical, Prince Lestat, and Prince Lestat and the Realms of Atlantis. I have that book, but I have not read the last one yet. So if you don't have any of those, start with Interview with a Vampire. I highly, highly recommend it. She is just absolutely wonderful, brilliant, brilliant. She also writes erotica, Christian fiction, and fantasy. They have children. Christopher Rice is her son. Of course, Michelle Pass. So she's a American author. And that's the most influential series of novels she has, The Vampire Chronicles. She was born in New Orleans, so then she moved to Texas and later to San Francisco. She began her writing career with her publication of Interview with the Vampire in 1976, and in the 80s she began writing the sequels. And then in the mid-2000s, following a publicized return to Catholicism, she published the novels Christ the Lord out of Egypt and Christ the Lord, The Road to Cana. Of course, they're fictionalized accounts. But several years later, she distanced herself from Christianity. She found herself in disagreement with them. Her books have sold nearly 100 million copies, placing her among the most popular authors, up there with, of course, Stephen King and Clive Barker. She became more popular with critics and readers in the 1980s. Her writing style and the content of her works have been deeply analyzed. Why? I don't know. Why do they do that? She doesn't need to be analyzed. Read it. I think they get too much. Sometimes the critics get too carried away. Read it for what it is. Don't read too much into it. I think they become a little too analytical. Servant of the Bones, one of her books, it formed the basis of a 2011 comic book miniseries. And several books from the Vampire Chronicles have been adapted as comics by various publishers. She has authored erotic fiction under Anne Rampling, including Exit to Eden. In 1973, she was grieving for the loss of her daughter, and she took a previously written short story and turned it into her first novel, and it became a bestseller, Interview with the Vampire. She based her vampires on characters in Dracula's Daughter. Interesting, because that was a pretty interesting movie. It kind of established to me what vampires were. They're elegant, tragic, sensitive people. And they are. Vampires, her vampires, I think, portray the actual, what we would think as sort of a vampire. They're sneaky, but they're sort of elegant and, very appealing to us. Later on, she developed OCD. She became obsessed with germs, thinking that she contaminated everything she touched. Of this period, Rice says, what you see when you're in that state is every single flaw, and you can't control it. And that's very true. She did receive therapy for that. And in '74, she sold the publishing rights to Interview with the Vampire for hardcover rights. She received $12,000 when most authors were receiving $2,000, and it was published in '76. She also wrote 2 historical novels, A Feast of All Saints and Cry to Heaven. She returned to New Orleans in 1988, and she penned The Witching Hour. It was an expression of her joy at coming back home. And she also continued her Vampire Chronicle series. And it grew to, it encompasses 10 novels, and followed up The Witching Hour with Lasha and Taltos, and completing the lives of the Mayfair, and that completed the lives of the Mayfair Witches trilogy. So she is diverse, to say the least. She is just, her books are absolutely wonderful. Like I said, we discovered the Interview with the Vampire and The Witching Hour. Queen of the Damned was also an excellent book. You know, it was based on the vampire Lestat, and he wanted to become a rock star. He wanted to be a rock star, which he did, and Peter Townsend did such an excellent job with that. It was so good, so good. The Blood Canticle, it incorporated the novels from her characters from Blackwood Farm. I have Blackwood Farm. It's one of the more recent books in the Vampire Chronicles and the Mayfair Witches series. It was published in 2002. It's an excellent book. It's about the Blackwood clan, and it's an old and powerful family in New Orleans, and they're haunted by a mysterious spirit named Goblin, and he's attached to the boy, and he realizes he's unable to defeat this creature alone, and he embarks upon a quest to enlist the help of the vampire Lestat, and he agrees to help him. And the boy recounts tale of his growing up, his family, and the forced conversion and acceptance of the dark gift. His stories allow Lestat to better understand the reach and power of Goblin, who continues to haunt him. And later it is discovered that Goblin is connected to, the boy is connected to the Mayfair clan of witches, also in New Orleans. So this information and forces Lestat to request aid from Merrick. And again, there's a book of Merrick. It's revealed that the bloodthirsty Goblin, who looks exactly like the boy, is in fact the baby boy's spirit. The spirit of the boy's twin brother. The child did not leave this world and is bound to his brother, and he is totally jealous of his mortal experiences. And they end up fashioning a ritual. Merrick joins herself with the flame and the corpse, and she carries her spirit and that of the child to the light, and he sacrifices herself to save them. So, Blackwood Farm, if you have not read it, please do. Another excellent book. And then, of course, you have The Blood Canticle, which it goes along with the characters from Blackwood Farm. So, she is so diverse. She has written Sleeping Beauty under her pen name, Anne Rampling. Excellent book if you're, want to get into that. So, we'll continue with our discussion of Anne Rice in just a moment.